Hi, Justin Benz here. In this video, I will show you how you can use Bauer tools with Dewalt batteries. A few weeks ago, I picked up a 2000 Lumen Bauer Floodlight. I have several Dewalt batteries and no desire to maintain a set of batteries only for the Floodlight. That isn't the only reason I prefer the Bauer Floodlight, however. It can be purchased for $50, but a similar Dewalt model retails for twice as much. The Bauer model also has a hefty stand that can be used to easily position the light. In addition to this, Bauer floodlights can be plugged into a standard wall outlet and run without a battery, a feature lacking on the Dewalt. Dewalt batteries, by default, do not function with Bauer tools. Even with jumper cords to connect the battery terminals, the light will not turn on. Adding a 10K ohm resistor between pins 1 and 3 allows the light to function with Dewalt batteries. By the way, performing this mod almost certainly avoids the 90-day warranty that Bauer provides, but I'm guessing you already knew that. On Bauer yard tools, including the string trimmer shown here, the mod is even simpler. Slight grinding on the front corners of the battery slides allow it to accept Dewalt batteries and function. Let's get started. The first thing I removed was the black tab on the back of my floodlight with my Dremel tool. After removing this, I needed to make modifications to the corners of the plastic near the 120 volt plug-in. After a false start with a cutting disc, I used a saber cut blade to remove the plastic in these corners, allowing my battery to slip on without making contact. After checking the width of the battery slides, I again used the cutting disc to remove material from the inner side of the slides to allow the Dewalt battery to fit. At this point, the Dewalt battery slid on, and I was ready to disassemble the floodlight and solder my resistor into place. Using a long neck T10 to reach the screws and a flathead screwdriver to pry it apart, I successfully disassembled the light. It is worth noting that the reason the Bauer floodlight will not operate without this modification is because it has a thermal battery protection system that the Bauer yard tools lack. This protection was assumedly designed to prevent an unattended light from starting a house fire. The 10K ohm resistor I installed tricks the microcontroller of the floodlight into believing that the battery is not overheating. I find it unlikely that the LED light would cause a battery to overheat and burst into flames, as the Bauer consumes a minuscule 18 watts at full power, and about 7 watts on the low setting. These Dewalt batteries regularly provide 250 to 500 watts for the average power drill load, so I doubt you will have any problems, but I give you fair warning, please be careful. I then clipped the yellow wire, soldered a 10K ohm resistor to the wire, and covered it in heat shrink. As I was doing testing, I realized the yellow wire didn't need to be connected to the third terminal in order for the light to operate. I then soldered the resistor to the first terminal with the black wire. I then reassembled the light using a bar clamp to press the light cover back into place. I used the drill with a Torx driver to put the screws back in. After reassembling the light, I tested it with a Dewalt battery to determine if the low voltage protection function was still operational. Whenever the battery drops to 15 volts or below, the light will flash 3 times and then go out and stay out. The only way to get the light to come back on is to bring the voltage above 16 volts and press the power button again. After comparing clearances on the floodlight and realizing that the batteries could fall out when the light was turned upside down, I used my Dremel to cut an area for the battery clip to extend into. I then used the Dremel to cut a metal bracket to length. This bracket is used to provide a secure point for the batteries to clip into. I then used PC7 2-part epoxy and 2 screws to affix the metal bracket to the body of the light. The washers are necessary to provide the Dewalt batteries the clearance they need to clip into the metal bracket. Thanks for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, support my Patreon, or like, share, and subscribe.